Good morning, friends, and welcome to Take Two for this Wednesday, October the 3rd, 2018. It's hump day. I hope your week is going well. I know mine is. Lots of stuff to do this week, this month. It is a busy time as we fall headlong into fall. Well, I hope everything is going well for you. It is Take Two, and I am Jeannie. I want to share a little something from my heart today. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, I hope. But today's segment is called Crying for No Reason. Now let me explain what that means. Yesterday I was riding in the car by myself, running an errand. And I was driving, and all of a sudden the waterworks just started pouring out of my eyes. And I got very emotional and I couldn't tell you the reason why. I do know that earlier in the day, something had happened where I wished I could just pick up a phone and call my mother. And as you know, if you've been following my story, you know that we lost my mother in June. She passed away. Now, she passed away just 3 weeks after another great-grandchild was born. And although she very briefly got to see a few photos of Thomas, she never actually had an opportunity to meet him, hold him, and all of that, the way she had formed a relationship with her 5-year-old grandson, Jimmy, who Thomas's older brother. And so that kind of made me sad. But this week, we had another great-grandchild born into the family. My sister's other daughter had a baby this week. And so I think that might have been on the back of my mind, and maybe that was the reason why. I was kind of sad to imagine that my mom and my dad, too, would never have an opportunity to meet and hold these babies this side of heaven. And that kind of just made me sad. And as I thought about it a little more, I thought, you know, that's probably the reason why I'm crying, but I'm not sure if that's the reason why I'm crying, or maybe the reason why I'm crying is just simply because I miss my family. I miss my mom and I miss my dad. So this morning I was looking at pictures up on the mantelpiece, and I saw this one, and this was when my parents had gone on a cruise some years ago, and it is quite a while ago because my mother was a little on the plumper side, and in later days she had gotten quite slim and petite. So I know this picture was taken quite a while ago. But I just was looking at it and looking at the smiles on their faces, and oh my goodness, the waterworks started again. So sometimes I came to the conclusion that crying, when you say you have no reason to cry, sometimes the reason that you're crying is that you have no reason at all. It just happens. And you know what? I've given myself permission, boys and girls, to go ahead and cry for no reason if I feel like it. If it so bubbles up inside me, I have granted myself that permission to cry for no reason, because there has to be a reason. I just don't know what it is. So let me say this. It's a good idea every so often to just clear out the eye ducts, to clear out your heart, and to have a good old-fashioned cry. It really is kind of good for the soul. And that's how I felt after I'd had my little meltdown yesterday. I was all by myself, just riding in the car, and just going ahead and letting those tears flow. And once I got all done with it, and then I had a little reprieve this morning when I was looking at this picture on the mantelpiece, I decided that if I feel like doing that every so often, it's okay. Now, to bring balance to this, boys and girls, you know I always like to try to bring balance to this. I do want to say this. If it was excessive and it was constant, it was 24 hours a day or even every day or even every other day, waterworks just pouring out, then I might want to go talk to somebody professionally that there might be something much deeper, you know, like deep falling into depression or something like that. But that wasn't the case here. This was just one of those driving down the road and all of a sudden just crying. And by the time I got done with my errand and I got home, I was fine. I was actually kind of glad that I had had those few moments just to have a good old-fashioned cry. Okay? So now go be a blessing to somebody today. You know, you might end up being the only one who is, but not only that, let me say this, not only that, but there might be somebody who's out there crying and they don't know the reason why, and maybe you could come and just put an arm around and just give a little bit of love without asking a bunch of questions, but just by being a good arm around the shoulder. I do want to say this, on my journey home from my errand yesterday, as I was crying, and the tears were starting to diminish, I spoke on the phone with a friend of mine who has had her own share of many, many challenges in her life, Debbie, and we were talking on the phone, and without passing judgment, without saying anything harsh or cruel or anything, she just so calmly just offered love to me on the phone. Now, I'm not saying she said, oh, you know, patted me on the back and just said, there, behave badly, it's okay. It wasn't like that at all, because she'll give tough love if I ask her to. It wasn't like that. What she did was just offer love to me, and she was the one who was a blessing to me. And at that moment, it was like if I hadn't had that blessing and that love shown to me, I might have continued just going on and crying and crying. But because she offered it to me, I had my eyes all dabbed and dried by the time I walked in the door, and I was okay. So if you feel the need to just go ahead and have a good old-fashioned cry, give yourself permission to do that, okay? Because it really is good for the soul. Okay, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, JeanneSigler. Click that subscribe button, hit that little bell. You'll get a notification every time I post another one. And don't forget, if you want to just sit and listen to some good old-fashioned music, who knows, it might even bring on a nostalgic tear or two. Go to WRMZ.org and click the listen button. Okay, that's all I have to say about all of that. And you be blessed. You have a great hump day, and I hope the rest of your week is as blessed as the first part of your week. And if your first part of your week was filled with all kinds of challenges, well, guess what? It's behind you now, and you can now go forward towards heading towards the weekend. I love you all very much. Bye-bye.